the criticism I have of the Texans.
Right.
And I just want to make the observation first. Dating back to last year, think of the games they've played. They are very good at winning the games they should.
That's right.
They are not good at winning the games they shouldn't. They were embarrassed by the Vikings early in the season, week 3. They lost in Green Bay, albeit by not much. They should have easily. The one game that they should have won that they didn't was against the Jets. And that was when I think people started looking at the Texans and asking, is there some fraud in what they've done?
Right.
And are they really as good as they've, and like Bobby Slowick, he goes from the clouds are parting to the ice is cracking.
Right.
And now there's should he lose play calling? I mean, that's why when the window opens for you to be a head coach, you better go through it, because there's no guarantee that next year you're still going to have that aura.
Yeah.
Now, Ben Johnson, the Lions offensive coordinator, does, but Bobby Slowick was the second name we heard in the last hiring cycle, and now it's gone. It's just gone.
No, definitely. He's got to go back to the lab anyways and readjust how he does things, and we've talked about it and the protection and some of those issues. I broke it down on my podcast a number of times over the last few weeks. Houston is not as good as what everybody thought when they were sitting there at 6-2. Like you just talked about the Green Bay game where you're going, oh, that was, kind of a toss-up game. But don't forget, Green Bay lost a turnover battle in that game 3-0 and still beat the Houston Texans. So there's issues in Houston. It's bigger than, just Bobby Slowick, but he's certainly a big part of it. And they got some problems right now.
Here's my larger picture criticism of DeMeco Ryans. Game management. Because at the end of the day, the head coach doesn't do a lot. What the head coach does is important on game day, during the game, but you got to make the decisions about clock management, when to kick field goals, when to go for it. And I don't know what the analytics would have said, but 4th and 4 on the Detroit 40 with 1:56 to play in a tie game.
Right.
What the hell are you doing sending Ka'imi Fairbairn out there for a long field goal, a 58-yarder? Because you're just going to give the Lions the ball back down 3 with 1:55 to play or 1:50 to play. So they're going to have the ability to tie the game or win the game.
I got you.
You need to keep possession, milk the clock, get off the field with a last-second field goal of your own, and not give the Lions a chance to try to tie the game. I just thought 58, I know we've gotten to the point where 50-yard field goal is like an extra point.
We kind of expect it to go in.
58, what the hell? And it wasn't even close.
No, I mean, he
It wasn't even close.
But I think a little bit of that's how a defensive coach thinks.
And then you hand them the opportunity. You just basically concede at that point. You forfeited.
Well, in his mind, he's going, wait, I've seen Fairbairn knocking in a lot of clutch field goals for me the last 2 years. So I think he's thinking, hey, we're going to knock this in, and I'm a defensive coach, and I believe in my defense, and we'll make the stop here. That's kind of how he's wired. That's why he is the head coach. But I understand that. I don't think you're wrong in bringing up that question. Certainly not. I think the other aspect maybe that goes into that too, Mike, and just as his decision-making, when we talk about watching the game, what's in your gut, whatever else, it could go either way here. Because he was seeing a Houston offense that was struggling severely in the fourth quarter. I mean, C.J. Stroud and them, they couldn't do anything. They couldn't run the ball. You saw the protection issues start to rise up again as the more the second half went. And then, of course, he had made 2 costly turnovers already, so maybe he thought, listen, I don't trust my offense that much anymore right now. Let me just see if my guy can make a field goal, and hopefully my defense can fly around and make something happen. I'm just trying to give up some
and that's
some food for
that's
thought.
A great point. So
yeah.
If we're thinking that from outside the locker room, what's C.J. Stroud thinking? What's the offense thinking?
He's frustrated. They're frustrated.
But I mean, why didn't you trust us on 4th and 4? What are we doing kicking this damn field goal?
I hear you. Right.
When if he makes it, they still have a chance to force overtime or win the game. There's more than enough time for them to drive down the field and win the game if we make this anyway. That's what made no sense to me. And I don't know what the analytics call for in that situation. All I know is 50 years of watching football tells me you don't kick a 58-yard field goal when it's a tie game with 1:56 to play, when you're facing an offense that has momentum, that has tied the game up, scored 16 straight points to get in position where it's a tie.
Right.
You don't hand the ball back to them and say, here, go ahead and beat us. We dare you. You just don't do it. And I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Defensive coach is more inclined to say, let's be careful, let's be conservative. But when in the hell did kicking a 58-yard field goal become a conservative option?
No, I think that's probably the deal breaker right there is the 58-yard field goal. But again, I think there's Fairbairn, as we were saying, I think a little bit in the trust tree as far as he's been clutch the last few years for them. And
he fell out of the tree last night.
He's out of
and
the
I know
tree,
the snap
certainly.
was high, but snaps are high sometimes.
Yeah.
Snaps are off sometimes.
Sure,
Guys
sure.
still make those kicks.
Hey, it was a great game. It really was. And Houston certainly, as we talked about, first half had chances to put Detroit in a much more uncomfortable position than they did. I mean, come on, they settled for a 29-yard field goal, which means they were, at the 9-yard line, 10-yard line, somewhere in there. They settled for a 34-yard field goal, means they were at the 17, 16-yard line, somewhere in that range. But then the biggest point to me of the football game is how the second half started. The fact that C.J. Stroud throws the pass to the left side there, gets intercepted by Carlton Davis, gives a little bit of juice, right? Every great comeback is, the team made some great plays and the other team made some mistakes, right? We saw that whether it's Brady in the Super Bowl in 28-3, but that interception, here it is. Way to go, Gary. This to me was okay, we throw the interception, you scored the touchdown, blah, blah, blah. Can we rewind this a little bit? Hey, so now we can squash their momentum and what they're doing here. And C.J. Stroud comes out of this little naked bootleg, and he waves to the underneath guy at first, but then I think as he's doing that, he sees the guy wide open, Tank Dell, in the end zone, but doesn't feel the backside pressure of Carlton Davis, leaves it up there. That, to me, was one of the hugest, if not the biggest moments of the football game.
Yeah, I mean, it takes the touchdown right off the board.
Right off the board, stops this, the wind in the sails for the Detroit Lions, all of that. And then we saw a lot of this here in the fourth quarter, which was him getting hit and not finding people open very easily.
Yeah, the Texans are lucky that they're in the worst division in football, and the Colts are falling apart.
Right.
And the Titans have fallen apart. The Jaguars have fallen apart. They're going to win that division, but they're not going to win in the postseason unless something changes. I don't want to write them off, but this gives them an idea. And these games they play, especially on the road. Now, this was one at home. We saw them beat the Bills, so we know they're capable.
Yeah.
We know they're capable.
Right.
They still need Nico
But
Collins
I think people
back.
have cracked the code a little bit, and they're missing Nico Collins. It's a little bit of all of that. I would agree with that. Didn't have Will Anderson last night. But wait, this just happened naturally. Guys, if we can go, Kristen, Gary, go back to that last play of the tape package there, the incompletion over the middle by C.J. Stroud. Because that to me would probably be another inkling with DeMeco Ryans watching the game going, the hell with it. I'm not going to take a chance. I remember on the last 3rd and 4, he throws the inside slant. Here we go. 3rd and 4, 2-minute warning. He comes out. They run like little slant package to the left here. He looks option right back to the slant left and almost should have thrown an interception.
Yeah.
I mean, Alex Anzalone is there for that, but maybe that was the moment where he went, you know what, I just don't trust our offense today. I'm going to kick the field goal. I don't know. Again, I'm just food for thought and dissecting it myself as we sit here on a Monday morning.
Kick the field goal, go all in with the defense, hope the defense can keep it from overtime or a loss in regulation,
we've seen
we
Jared
don't
Goff
trust
throw
the
5
offense.
interceptions already.
And
the last 2 drives, we actually did okay and held them to, kicking long field goals. So maybe that was their thought. But I think your thought is real and more of the commonplace real thought in the NFL that probably would take place.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.